According to the American Cancer Society, colorectal cancer is the third leading cause of cancer-related deaths in men and the fourth leading cause in women in the U.S. It's expected to take the lives of more than 52,000 Americans in 2025 alone, and preventative screening and lifestyle changes continue to be our best line of defense. So today, we are sitting down with one of Idaho's most experienced colon and rectal surgeons, Dr. Shiv Datani, to share more about colorectal health, the risk factors, signs and symptoms, treatment options, and most importantly, screening. So, Dr. Datani, it's so good to see you.
Thank you for having me, especially on this topic. I feel very passionate about discussing it.
Yes.
So glad to be here.
I'm so glad that we are discussing this because there's so much to cover. First of all, what is colorectal cancer and colon cancer, and what makes them different than other cancers?
So colorectal cancer is a type of cancer that forms from adenomatous polyps, and these are growths in the colon or rectum. They can happen anywhere, and over time, these growths can turn into cancer. Now, it's different from other cancers in many ways. One, it's slow growing. Two, we have very effective screening methods to find these precancerous lesions and potentially remove them so the patient can avoid cancer. Additionally, if caught early, sometimes surgery would be the only treatment the patient would need. The last point is that there are things people can do to prevent colon and rectal cancer, things they can avoid in their diet, exercise, which we'll talk more about.
Okay, so this is a cancer that we actually have the opportunity and the ability to get ahead of as long as we pay attention and we do the prevention. Okay, so though, let's talk about the causes and the risk factors of colon cancer though too.
So there's a variety of risks. There are things that we can control and other things that we cannot control, one of which is smoking and alcohol use increase the risk of cancer. Obesity, sedentary lifestyle. So I encourage patients to live a healthy lifestyle, exercise regularly, because that will decrease the risk of colon and rectal cancer. Additionally, there are some foods in the diet that can increase risk of colon cancer and others that are protective. So high fiber diet is protective against colon and rectal cancer, whereas diets that are high in processed foods, red meat, can increase the risk of colon and rectal cancer. There are some things, however, you cannot control. One is age. So age over 50 is linked with risk of colon and rectal cancer. We are, however, seeing an increase in younger patients as well. So it's encouraged for patients to discuss screening with their primary care doctor or gastroenterologist.
Let's talk about the signs and symptoms of colon cancer. What are they?
The number one symptom is no symptom. When people do have symptoms, they could be bloating, distension, so they could feel fullness in their abdomen. They may see blood when they have a bowel movement. There may be changes to their bowel movements, so diarrhea, constipation, or something may change from them for their normal. Sometimes there is blood that patients do not see called anemia, and they may have weakness, fatigue, or just may not feel right.
Let's talk about the prevention.
So prevention of colorectal cancer is mainly focused on screening. So I would encourage patients to discuss with their primary care doctor if and when they're eligible for screening colonoscopy. Now, screening colonoscopy is the gold standard, so it's every other test is compared to that. The reason why it's so good is if something is found, then they can remove it, and that would prevent the polyp to turning into something worse. In Idaho, we're known as one of the worst states in the country for screening colonoscopy. We're third worst. And I see a lot of, advanced cases that could have been prevented. So some form of screening for any patient is better than none.
Yes.
And I would just encourage patients to talk to their primary care doctor.
Okay, and then when should we start screening?
Oh, yes, age 45 is recommended. Okay. And that's for most patients. So some patients with a first-degree relative or other risk factors, now that age could change.
Let's talk about surgical treatment options, though, and any new technologies that might be applied in this space.
I specialize in robotic surgery. So what robotic surgery is me doing surgery, but I get two left arms, a right arm, and I get a camera. When I move my head, the camera moves. I have excellent vision, so it's 3D, it's in 4K, and I have full control during the operation. And this allows for very precise surgery. For cancers such as rectal cancer, it allows sparing of nerves, and there's better outcomes, faster return to function, better recovery for patients. It's more precise. There is being studied AI in colonoscopies. This is fairly new, and we're still, deciding if it's helpful. Sometimes these things that are found extremely early may have no true benefit, but it's being studied to prevent cancer as well.
Okay. Where do we go to learn more, Dr. Datani?
You can go to stalphonsus.org to learn more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.